Hey y'all, it's Maddie from the Itty Bitty Homestead Committee. Today I wanted to go over the importance of record keeping in your rabbitry. Now, when it comes to my rabbitry, I keep track of quite a few things. I'm kind of anal retentive when it comes to my rabbits. So I'm a bit extra and I track stuff I probably don't need to, but that's also because I'm really big into things like color genetics of unnecessary things for most meat breeders, but I do keep track of things that are important for meat breeders because I do have a few meat breeders. In fact, if you look on my far stack right there, the bottom one right there is alpha, and that's 1 and 2. Those are my meat stacks. My bunnies are mini rex, and although I do use them for meat, they're mostly show and sales for pets. So either way, I try to keep track of quite a few things. One of the things I did today was I was getting monthly weights. It's important to get weights on your seniors to make sure that they adhere to breed standards, but it's also important to get weights on your kits as well as your juniors. I am a little bit strict on my weighing of my juniors and kits. So my juniors I weigh once a week, and then my kits I will weigh nearly every day until we get them weaned off of mom. And that's just to ensure that they are gaining the appropriate weight. So that also allows me to track my grow out rates because the faster these guys get to a senior weight, the less feed I put into them. So the least amount of feed for the most amount of weight is the goal. And that allows me to look at my lines and decide who's going to be better to keep. Along with that, I keep track of pedigrees. I'm kind of a pedigree snob, and that's just because I want to know what I am getting, right? I want to know, do I have a line of Vienna marked for my blue-eyed whites? Is there some weird thing going on with my castor lines? When was the last time I bred a black into my castor lines to get deeper ticking, or if I need to breed blue into my lines to fix the banding, that kind of thing, right? Along with that, I keep track of body conditions, what I think of certain breeders. So for instance, if they have a weird high point or if they're pinched in the rear, I make note of that. If they are off standard, before I get them called out, I will put if a pairing of two rabbits came up with too many off standard rabbits. So for instance, when I had Peppers and Sally, they threw me 3 Charlies, which a Charlie in the broken rabbit community means that they didn't have enough coloring, right? They were nearly just pure white rabbits, except for they had little eye marks and ear marks, but that's about it. So I never bred Peppers and Sally again because I didn't like the pairing at all. It was not a good pairing. The only good kit I got out of that pairing was Blue. Even Saddle, who was my only other breeding doe I kept, she's kind of ugly. she's very ugly, but I bred her to Alpha to put some meat in the freezer, so we'll see. Plus I want to see what Alpha throws because I know Saddle's lines, but I don't know Alpha's lines that well, so it gives me an idea before I breed him to 1 and 2. So along with I track what I think the genetic coding is for colors. So and I can one day make a color genetics video if anyone's interested. So the color genetic lines are set up like A, B, C, D, E, da, 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 da. And depending on if you're breeding like an agouti variety, a self variety, or that, depending on what your pairings are throwing, you can kind of guess as to if they have recessive genes or if they have dominant genes, if they have hidden recessive genes and that kind of thing. That's super important, especially when I'm breeding my blue-eyed white lines. So I definitely keep track of that. Another thing I keep track of are breeding cycles. So for instance, today is day number 30. My 2 does that I bred, in theory, they should be giving birth within tonight or tomorrow, hopefully. I think they're pregnant. but we could have false pregnancies. So I keep track of their breeding to know when day 27 is to throw in my nesting box. So there's a lot of important things to keep track of for that. And then when they do kindle and have their babies, I keep track of the date they kindled. So if I breed them again, I know around when they will have their babies. And then I also keep track of how many they had, if they had any peanuts, how many survived, and just how they are generally as a mother, right? So my general rule of thumb is first-time moms have a go to be crap moms, right? Because rabbits are notorious for being really crappy first-time mothers sometimes. So first litter, they have a free go. If by the third litter they're still not good mothers, I call them from my breeding program because I don't like having bad mothers. When I got Sally, for instance, my blue-eyed white, I was warned that she had eaten a kit. Second litter, she did great. Third litter, she had a peanut and she ate the peanut, or part of the peanut. So that was kind of up in the air. I would have given her one more try just to see, because other than that, she was an amazing mother. So just a bunch of things to keep track of, and it's super, super important that you do keep track of everything. On the note, once again, of pedigrees, make sure you're keeping up to track with them. Even if you're not going to shows, it also helps with your genetic coding to see if you need to outcross. A rule of thumb I've always heard in the rabbit community is a rabbit should not show up more than 3 times on a pedigree. So if you're line breeding back daughter to father, granddaughter to grandfather, great-grandfather to great-granddaughter, that sire should not appear more than 3 times on your pedigree. So that's kind of like a visible representation of whether or not you should in or out cross. For me, I am very big on look at the rabbit and not necessarily the pedigree. So let's say I do have a rabbit on my pedigree 3 times, but I really like the breeding stock I'm getting. I might give it one more go just to see, because that also is able to show any problems that you have in your lines, right? Because when you line breed, the best of the best and the worst of the worst show up, and it's easier to pinpoint it. So line breeding is super important, but tracking that line breeding is as well. But anyway, I have a little surprise for y'all down in the description box, and that is I have my trackers there and what I use. And if you want to copy and paste them into your own Excel sheets, the trackers are already there. You can use one page, you can use all the pages, something to be helpful, especially if you're starting out. So there's that. I hope it's helpful to you, and thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.